Hi there, I'm just about to start, or have started, a course in learning Pali, and just might be helpful if you're thinking of doing the same thing, just to walk through how I've got to where I am at the moment. There's lots of information on the internet that can be used, and I'll put some links onto the description so you can see where I'm sourcing the information from. And one of the first ones I ran across was the course in the Pali language by Bhikkhu Bodhi, which is here. And this in fact has lessons you can go through. So you can click on the lecture, say lecture 1 to start, and then it's an audio.
So we now begin our introduction to Pali class.
Okay, that's quite a useful course because you've got the audio, you've got full pronunciation of the Pali language, which is very helpful. And it's all based around a book called A New Course in Pali Reading. And it's essential to get this book because all the examples come from here. And the book itself, it has exercises, but not the answers, and so you need the course to get the answers. However, I did find that having gotten through to about lecture 2 or part 2, that I wasn't really fully understanding what was trying to be achieved because of the complexity of the exercises. So what it is doing is taking text from the Pali canon and then asking the participants to translate. And that was sort of he alludes in Bhikkhu Bodhi alludes to learning the language like learning to swim. So if you read the theory about how to do, say, the crawl or strokes like that, you'll never get it. So you actually got to get in the water. But I think with this approach, it tends to be diving in the deep end rather than starting at the shallow end. So I will go on to this, but first off, and just the book itself can be, you find it on Amazon.com, or there's actually an address there at the bottom from India where it's published from. You may be able to get it at a better price. Now, where I did go to when I looked again on the internet was the course, where are we? Course in the Pali language. That's that one, or the Pali course, that one, which is an elementary Pali course. So this is what I'm working through at the moment, and I found it helpful to actually load the pages to a thumbstick, take it down your local copy shop and get a hard copy. So I've actually done a hard copy of the book, and then I can just work my way through. And as you can imagine, that when you come to the exercises, it's easier to say on the exercises just to write alongside what the answers are to the exercises, and to look up the vocabulary which is in each chapter. Just flick back to the pages to find the vocabulary to answer the exercises. So that's what I'm working through at the moment. I'm into about my 3rd week and still keeping pace, which is good. It's divided up. This is actually divided up into there's 3 sections of the exercise themselves, and towards the end of it is the dictionary of words used, and then beyond that are the model answers to some of the questions. So it's fairly self-contained. What I did find helpful early in the piece was to make myself, a cheat sheet, which is there, which you may or may not be able to pick up. And what I've done on there, because the language is what the words mean and they're linked to other words and sentences, is sort of determined by the ending of the words, which change according to how the word is to be used. So when I'm reading a bit of Pali text, I can then cross-reference to this cheat sheet to what the ending is. So I'm looking, say, for a noun, and I've written down the cases there: nominative, accusative, genitive, dative, instrumental, ablative, locative, vocative. If you're not familiar with the nouns being declined, which we don't have in English, but they do have in, say, German and Latin, it's a bit of a tease to get your head around. But in summary, what these do is, by the word ending, is indicating what the function of that noun is. So what we do in English is add prepositions, like under the table, from the house, by the whatever, whereas the preposition itself is rolled into the noun in the Pali language. So I'm looking at the word in the translation table. It's something like, say, dharmasa, and the root of the word is dharma with asa added on the end, which means it's a genitive case, and genitive case indicates it's possessed by. So one example is like uncle, the uncle's book, we put comma s on the end, and in the Pali language it's asa is added to the word to indicate ownership. Similarly with the verbs, so we know how the words are being addressed. With the verbs, I've got first person, second person, third person, which is I, you and we, or sorry, I, you and they, beg its pardon. And then the endings change again of the verbs. So when you're translating the Pali text, you just look through here, say, oh, ends in mi, so it must be I do something, plural, ma, we do something, so on and so forth. I've also jotted down, not really come across yet, say the negatives. So similarly as in English, we add un or in, so like unstable, inefficient. So in Pali, na or a negates words. So, well, I can't think of any words offhand at the moment, so I don't know enough Pali, but you get the general idea. So that's been quite helpful, the sort of a cheat sheet. And appreciate that the endings change depending on the last verb, letter of the word. So I think, for example, in this new Pali course, I wrote this out, and then when I was doing this, it's got the word bhikkhave, and I thought bhikkhave, and I looked on my list and I couldn't see it, and apparently because bhikkhu ends in a U, it takes a different alternative ending in the vocative case from, say, the word dhamma. So yeah, it's just little things like that you learn as you go along. So in fact, I again found a little cheat sheet here, words ending in with U and what happens to them when they go through the cases. So nominative is bhikkhu, it goes down to locative. In fact, it's got here bhikkhusu. Well, I don't know what that is, but oh, there's bhikkhave. Sorry, vocative case, beg its pardon, not locative, vocative. Bhikkhave. Yeah, and just to go back to the full course, I'm saying the one by Bhikkhu Bodhi. You've heard the word like samsara, and in fact they pronounce it sangsara, so the M becomes NG, and Bhikkhu Bodhi does go quite well through how the pronunciation is changed by the words in Pali that we don't have the sounds in the English alphabet, so they just add dots under the M to make it sound like and a macron or stroke over the A to make it long, as in Dhamma or samsara. Yeah, sangsara. So that's quite interesting. The sources for translation I was lucky enough to get from the local Buddhist monastery. I borrowed their Pali Text Society Pali to English dictionary, which is quite handy, and it's quite nice just to dip into it to find the words and to work through how many different meanings some words have, which makes you wonder, say, when you're looking at the Pali canon, whether they've taken the right meaning of the word when it's being translated. And that's the sort of thing I'd like to look into further once I get a better handle on the language. But one thing to be aware of is that if you are using a dictionary like this, that I wasn't aware of until recently, that the order is not in, if you like, English alphabetic order. It's in the order of how the words are, or the letters are in the Pali alphabet. So again, I don't know if you can see that up close, but the way they order the language, the letters in the language, is by where it's, what's the word, said, pronounced in the mouth, in their mouth. So they start at the back with the guttural in the throat, k, and it comes forward to palatal, cerebral, dental, labial, and then they've got miscellaneous on the end. So the labial with the lips, so you've got P, which is quite expressively P. So when you make this sound, you can, and the dictionary itself follows the order in which those letters occur in the Pali alphabet. And somebody quite helpfully in this dictionary has noted down what the order is of the letters. So if I want to go to the letter I, long I, macca on top, starts at page 1, 2, 3, followed by U, and then goes back to E, then O, and so on and so forth. So that can be a wee bit confusing if you're using a text version. Obviously, you won't have that same trouble if you find the dictionary online. So there is the Pali dictionary, which can be found online, and there's a word lookup. But I found when you're using this function, it's best to, if I can just get a bit closer, when you do a search, tick on the box for entry words only, not for the whole text of the whole dictionary. And similarly, another hard thing about looking up is you don't know what the word is in the dictionary, because you've got the changing endings, changing beginnings, negatives, and so on and so forth. So you can actually put in a limiter. So, for example, I put in words starting with, and then I know, is it Dharma, Dharmo, Dharmang? So I just put DHAMM in, and hopefully, if I tick the right boxes, it should then come up with a list of those words. Right, so there's Dharma, Dharma, Dharmata, da 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 da. All those words there, which you can then go on and find them, and it gives a full list, and it's a full list out of basically the Pali dictionary. There's another dictionary online as well, and that is just a straight search, so it's not quite as useful. So I put in the same again, it doesn't find a match for it. Or if you're being really up with the technology, there's a Pali dictionary app on the smartphone. This is the Android version, and this is quite helpful in that I can use this by just say to enter the Pali word, and I put in the D, and then it will list all the words beginning with D, H. So the list becomes smaller, and A, smaller still, M, another M, and there's Dharma there. So I'll go back again. I can actually scroll through and I should find Dharma if I'm not too sure. So although this seems a bit, how can we find it so hard to find words in dictionaries, but as I say, the spellings do change, beginnings and endings and so forth, so it can be a bit of a puzzle to track them down. So that's the way of finding the words. So as I say, the way I'm approaching it is I'm using the Pali course, which again allows me to step through quite easily. Also note that does have a vocabulary at the end of it as well, so you can use this. So looking for Dharma, I'll just go to the D section and DH, Dharma, law, truth, doctrine, so many meanings. So there's another way of finding out the words and vocabulary. Right, so as I say, I'm starting with this simpler version of how to learn Pali. Made a cheat sheet, so it's a quick look up when I'm doing translations. I'm sure that's going to get more complex as I learn more about tenses and past participles and so on and so forth. To find the words, I've got the printed dictionary, an online dictionary, and also a smartphone dictionary which I can use, which is quite helpful. And actually in the translation of the sentences themselves, again, they're not English-like. I found they're more, say, like sort of similar to how you hear sort of Yoda on Star Wars speaking. So it tends to be the noun at the front, verb as the last word, and then what's been actioned in the middle. So instead of he goes north, it'd be he north, he to the north goes, for example, with to the north being in the, I get this right, to dative case. So yeah. So anyway, hope that's helped if you're thinking about embarking on learning Pali and where to find information about how to learn the language. And as I say, I'll put some hyperlinks into the description. Thanks for watching.